Good evening, campers. We are here for another Nightlife and Friends. Just a moment, we're going to see. My name is Josh Roberts. This is Mary Holt. We both work for the planetarium at the California Academy of Sciences, and we are honored to be here with you this evening.
Yes, indeed.
So we have a bunch of really cool stuff coming up. Some of our experts at the Academy from the aquarium. We're going to be featuring some of the critters behind the scenes. We're going to be learning about flower arrangement, hearing some music, and even dance lessons along the way. So we have an action-packed evening. So planetarium stuff, we don't get out of our dome a whole lot. But Mary, you've been away from the dome for a while. Any opportunities for stargazing?
A little bit, yes. I can't see a ton of stars from where I'm at in Alameda, but in my backyard is actually not too bad as long as I block out the lights that are surrounding me. So definitely seeing Venus a lot. Is very bright lately.
Venus would be a good one to look for. Where would we look for Venus if we want to spot it?
You want to look towards the southwest right after sunset.
So in the direction of the setting sun, and what makes Venus distinctive?
It's very bright.
Very bright. Like you're going to think it's a plain bright, but it's Venus.
Yeah. It won't move unless you watch it for like an hour.
Unless Venus is moving, in which case something's really gone wrong.
Yeah, then there's something bad.
Okay, so we want to jump right into our content. We're going to say goodbye to Mary momentarily. She'll be back soon.
I'll be back.
And we're going to jump over to Vikki McCloskey, who's one of our aquarium specialists at the Academy, who is here to talk to us about perhaps the Academy's most beloved resident, which isn't me. Vikki?
Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about everybody in the Bay Area's favorite albino alligator, Claude. We heard that some people wanted to know how he was doing in these times, so we thought we'd give you a little update. And Claude, if you don't know, has been at the Academy since we opened the new building in 2008. And a lot of people think that he was there earlier, that he's the same white alligator that they saw before, but I'm here to tell you he is not. He has only been with us since 2008.
So white alligator, which white alligator was there before?
I believe that there were some leucistic alligators that did a worldwide tour years ago. And the way you can tell the difference is the leucistic alligators have the blue eyes. Claude is an albino, so he has the red eyes.
That's super cool looking. Okay, so what else makes Claude unique about the albinism?
Well, albinism is a lack of pigment in the skin. So he's all white. So he's not very good camouflage in the Everglades. However, as you said earlier, Josh, he'd be great in Antarctica. Blend right in there. But he's what we call he's what we call an ambush predator. So it's super important that those predators can blend in with their backgrounds, and then they just wait for prey to come to them. So they do conserve their energy by setting still for a very long time. And I've heard it said that Claude never moves, and is he real? We're not sure. And he definitely moves, and we do have some footage of him moving. And there's me saying hi to Claude one of those mornings. So the biologists are coming in every day to take care of the animals. And I'd like to give a shout out to all animal care staff worldwide, because I know everybody is going in with reduced staff, making sure all the animal residents are healthy and happy, and because that's what we do. So we have been going in every day. Claude's routine has not really changed during these times, and there's some footage of Claude hanging out with his turtle friends. If you haven't been down to the habitat, Claude shares that with, that's Morla patting him on the back. He shares it with 4 alligator snapping turtles, and their names are Morla, Donatello, Raphael, and Jaws. And this is what happens. I don't know if you guys can see this. What happens when your turtle springs a leak. So you can see that's one of the twins blowing some bubbles by Claude, hanging out. And actually what she's doing, she's expelling air so that she can sink back down. So when we go in to do our behavioral enrichment sessions, we do separate them. Claude goes to his station and the turtles come over to their stations.
So
however, we do have a couple that don't like to come out unless they have to.
What does a behavioral enrichment session look like? That sounds more exciting.
Well, those are our weekly feed sessions. So this is when, not sure what, this is some enrichment. Not sure if that's going to play or not. I don't know if you guys can tell, but we also are putting a lot of enrichment into the habitat to keep the animals occupied and busy and happy and fun and exploring. And this is actually steamed squash that we throw in for the turtles. But as you can see, Claude likes to investigate whatever goes into his habitat as well, and has been seen eating squash. Not usually on his diet plan. Not bad for him though. I don't know how the turtles feel about it. Everybody seems to be okay with it. And we haven't had any altercations, so it did look a little dicey there for a minute.
Now, what normally is his diet plan? What's he eating most of the time?
He gets trout. That's what he really likes.
Nice.
He loves his trout. He gets rodents. Sometimes he'll get quail.
Ooh.
We have some quail in. And we also make sure to give him a special gel. It's specially formulated, all the vitamins and minerals that he needs. And we also supplement that with vitamins. And he likes it. It kind of looks a little bit like a meatloaf or Spam.
Rodent doesn't sound great, I will admit, but if he likes it, that's great.
I feel like sometimes he's like, okay, and sometimes he's all, But I think this is footage.
Is this climbing up? So I've worked at the Academy 10 years. I have never seen this.
No, I think this is a behavioral enrichment session. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but because Claude has albinism, he does not have good eyesight. So what we do is he recognizes our voices and he recognizes voice cues. So that was me calling him to come over and another biologist calling him to round the corner to go to his feeding station.
He's better trained than my dog.
He's really good. And like I was saying earlier, sometimes we don't even have to call him. He knows it's Wednesday. It's 8:30 on Wednesday, and he just rolls right over, and he's just waiting for us.
So he's got some kind of day planner down there and knows when he is in the week better than I do right now.
He knows. And I think, this is him, I believe, getting some trout. So he comes over and stations for the biologist. And his cue is he puts his little snoot up to the rock, and that's when he gets his reward.
How cool. He looks pretty content.
I think he's pretty happy. I think he's living his best life right now. I think this is some footage of, I think that's me. I can tell by the hair. And that's him coming over and stationing. And you can see James's shoes in the background. So we're bringing the turtles to the other side of the island. So everybody gets their own spot to eat in.
Very nice.
Which is important. Now, this is a shot of the island before. If you have been to the Academy, you guys know that Claude was not in his front of house habitat for a while. Nobody was. We were lucky enough to have some capital funds to improve this habitat. When we got Claude, he was a lot smaller and he fit on that island. And then he grew. He's about 200 pounds and 10 feet now. So we wanted to give more land space for him to come up and get away from his aquatic roommates, because we all need a break sometimes. And we also wanted to have more space for the biologist. So if you could see the biologist, we took out all the old substrate and everybody chipped in, and that's us hauling bags of sand and gravel down and dumping it out before we refilled it. Doesn't everybody look happy?
A lot of work.
Yeah, it was quite a process. This is some of the team cleaning the windows, and we had to take out turtles, alligator, and all the fish, and they all had back of house habitats that we took care of them in. And you can see that's the old island as well. So moving an alligator is a process. And this is a picture of the team involved in one of Claude's physicals, and when we put him in his crate to move him back into the swamp habitat after it had been renovated. And you can see there's a lot of people. And
getting flashes of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, we have to roll him down Nancy Pelosi Drive. So alligators of a certain size do not fit in elevators. So in order to get him back around to the swamp habitat, he has to go down the street. You can see he's got plenty of escorts going on in there. And then we have to lower him down into the habitat. And so you can see him setting in his new crate. This is a little outline. I love this picture, super cool. And this is what it looks like when we lower the crate back down into the habitat. With our engineers, we have a crane. I think there's some footage of it. Yep, there it goes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely a process. Because if you guys don't know, the swamp habitat is literally a pit. There are no doors. The biologists have to climb in and out of that ladder. You can see the little step ladder. We go over the railing and down the ladder. And that's how we get in and out of the habitat every time we have to go in. So it's definitely a process to get animals in and out when we need to do so. But we figured it out. And this is a photo of our new habitat. So you can see all the added land space in the back. You can see Logan standing there doing the planter and Piper calling Claude over. And it's also, I don't think it's on right now, but we added a basking spot for him. So his rock is heated. Oh,
there we go.
Oh, here's the elusive footage, Josh.
Oh, wow. You got to maximize it. There we go.
This is the first time he came out when we added the land space and he found his basking spot.
Find the warmest, comfiest spot around.
Yep. He loves it.
There's a lesson for all of us in that.
Get away from your roommates into your basking spot.
Well, cool. Thank you for a once in a decade opportunity to see him actually climbing out. That's amazing.
And this is him going back in. So it took him a bit to figure out the new logistics of the habitat. But I'm here to tell everybody, Claude has legs. He has legs and he uses them.
He doesn't
and this
just
is
hover.
true. He doesn't just float around. He actually has legs that he can walk on.
How cool. It's really amazing to see him exploring the new space.
I think he's really gotten it down now and he really enjoys it. He's been in all parts of that new land space. And there he is.
So what's your favorite Claude fact, Vikki?
My favorite Claude?
Claude fact. Something you could tell folks about him.
Well, I really like the fact that he's not an aggressive alligator. However, I have seen him miffed and I have seen him move fast. And people don't think that he can. But one of the first times I saw him stand up on his legs, he might have been a little annoyed with me about something. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember that well, but I did see him stand up on his legs and move pretty quickly. And I don't think people know that happens. And I'm here to assure you that he can move quickly if he needs to.
That's a good thing to know. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to check out Claude and see a little bit behind the scenes. It's good to know he's in good hands.
You're welcome, and I hope everybody knows that he's doing great. He's really doing well, and that we're all in there, and all of the animal residents are doing well, and we are in there with them every day.
That's great. We can't wait to see him again in person. Well, thank
he
you so
misses
much.
You guys.
We miss him too. So thank you, Vikki.
Thanks.
Okay, so in just a sec, Mary, how's it going behind the scenes?
Good. It's nice to see Claude. I miss him. He's such a sweet boy.
Mary was pointing out that in the video where they're climbing into the pit to see the alligator, you can't tell there's a whole line of Academy staff behind just watching him get lowered down in.
Yeah, I might have even been there that day taking pictures from the balcony as they were lowering him in.
So, Mary, we had a couple chat questions we didn't get a chance to get to last week, and one of them that was persistent and I wanted to address, aliens. We often have questions about why haven't we heard from aliens yet, and I thought you might be able to tackle that.
All right, let's see if I can tackle this in 2 minutes. Aliens. People often, so one of the big questions I do get with aliens when I'm in the planetarium is, do you think aliens are out there? To which I say my own personal opinion is probably, because there are billions and billions and billions of planets, or sorry, billions and billions of stars, probably billions and billions of planets in our galaxy alone. And the likelihood of just one of those billions having life and none of the other ones seems pretty low to me. Now, is there intelligent aliens that could come here and travel through space and communicate with us? That might be a little bit more difficult. It might be a little bit more random that we ended up being the way we are with all the technology that we have. And even with everything that we do have, it's only within a few 100,000 years. So the likelihood of aliens, I think, is very high. Will we be able to hear from them anytime soon? That's a way bigger question that I'm not quite sure the answer of.
Yeah, that sounds a lot more open-ended for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple more guests coming up. Who's next?
Up next, we have Larisa Minerva from Bewilder, I believe. Hopefully she can pronounce it correctly, sorry. But she's going to be showing us how to make our own floral arrangements at home.
Sounds fascinating.
Hi. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Larisa Minerva. I'm the owner of Bewilder Floral. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, we're here in my garage studio and I'm going to show you guys how to make a centerpiece just using kind of some yard clippings, things you have around the house, and maybe just a couple bunches that you can get at the farmer's market or you know, at your local grocery store. Just a little bit about me. Bewilder Floral is a wedding florist, so all of our weddings are canceled pretty much through July, but I grow a lot of flowers at home, so I've literally got like, I cut 1,000 stems of ranunculus this week, and so I'm trying to get them out into the world so people can enjoy them even though they're not going to a wedding. So yeah, check out my website. I'm selling flowers at the end of my driveway. I'm doing deliveries on Saturday, and yeah, you can check all that out online. But to get started, all you need is a cereal bowl, some Scotch tape, and I use clippers. You can use garden clippers. You can also use scissors, or if you don't have either of those things, you can always resort to a cutting board and a knife. So you'll start by doing just like a hashtag, if you will, a grid of Scotch tape on the top, just in a line. So 2 kind of parallel lines, and then 2 parallel lines going the other way. And you want to do this before adding your water. If the vase is wet, the Scotch tape sometimes doesn't stick. So you do that first. Make sure it's all attached on there. Add your water. And I go up to about 1 inch from the edge of the vase. And you want to check in on your vase as time goes by. The water will, or the flowers will drink, and you'll need to refill the water. All right. So I just have these clippings of viburnum from my yard. You can do just like, you don't need a ton. They don't have to be very long. Just like little clippings. You can get them in your yard, or you can ask your neighbor, or maybe go to the park, but don't tell them that I sent you. They don't need to be super long. Essentially, you're just looking for the stem to be about the height of the vase. So that first leaf is going to start right where the lip of the vase is, and the bottom of the stem is going to be right where the edge of the table. So super short. Like, I think this bowl is only like 2.5 inches. So they don't need to be taller than that. And the goal here is just filling the vase. The greens are going to kind of work as a web in which you can kind of stick all your little flowers in between. And if you want to get more advanced with it, you can try to kind of make somewhat of a shape, but really just filling the vase is your first priority. Making sure you can't see the water, can't see the tape. Maybe trying to cover the edge of the vase here. And the more you have, the more stable your flowers will be later. If at first things are kind of like bouncing around in there, just add more things and that'll help keep it more stable. All right. So this is kind of spilling out the side. All right, then once you have your green structure, you can fill in with flowers. And I've just got all these ranuncula's I have in my garden that I mentioned. And your first stems can really be super short. If you're a little nervous, you know, it's okay. You know, I know you can't like make, once you cut them, they can't grow longer again, but your first stems can really just be like the height of the vase, like those 2 inches. And you just poke that in the center there. And then you're just going to keep adding these really short stems. The goal here is just covering the base, making sure you don't have any holes. And then the flowers you add on top of that can be taller. So it looks kind of like they're growing from the center point. And I kind of want to do just a really simple kind of a vase arrangement with you guys, just using one type of flower, partially because it's easier to source, it's easier to try, but also I think it's more appropriate for a home setting. I think sometimes vase arrangements can get really crazy, have a lot going on, and this feels a little bit more peaceful to me, like it might make sense on your dining room table or by your bedside. All right, so if you spin that around and see what I'm doing. I'm just starting to layer on top of that first layer once it's all kind of filled in. The stems are maybe like 1 inch bigger than those first stems. And just kind of be patient with yourself here. The goal is not to have it look a certain way, but really just to make yourself happy. I don't know about if you guys have been able to get outside much, but I find it really comforting just to be able to go outside and remember that spring is still happening. Here in the garden, you know, these ranunculus have just been going off this week, and they'll just be here for another month at most, and then they'll be gone. And meanwhile, the rosebuds are just starting, and they'll be here soon. It's just, I guess it's just kind of comforting to know that these larger cycles are still happening despite everything that's going on in the world. Okay, so once you have like a good layer, keep getting taller. I can try to do like a little bit of a floaty stem on top to kind of like bring in the shape. Like I'm trying to make this kind of go taller, and then these ones kind of go off to the side a little bit. It's a little bit of a challenge with this, with just the tape. We usually for wedding work will use chicken wire, but I think it's nice to have a little growing feel, kind of. And just enjoy it. Don't judge yourself. Maybe I could take that advice. All right. There. So there you have it. It's kind of a basic structure, and you can keep playing around with it, but I wouldn't fuss with it too much. Just kind of let the flowers be flowers. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, I've got a bunch more free tutorials online on Instagram. And if you want to support me, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/bewilderfloral for all my video work. And if you're in the Bay Area, if you're in Palo Alto, you want to come pick up flowers in my driveway, or order a centerpiece for your friend, I'm delivering flowers all over the Bay Area on Saturdays. So yeah, I hope this was fun for you guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I can't really see the comments, so feel free to DM me, or I can look back and see in the comments later. Yeah, Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
It's amazing to see it come together like that.
Yeah. And so quick, too.
Okay, so Mary and I are available if any of you have cool space questions. We would love to hear them. Thank you, Larisa. That was absolutely awesome. But if you come up with a space question, please just put it in the comments. We're happy to try and respond. But in the meantime, since we don't always get space questions, Mary and I have both learned some pretty awful astronomy jokes. You got any, Mary?
Yes. The one that I always tell first in the planetarium if I'm giving a show is, it's a call and response one, but I'll do it with you, Josh. Hey, have you heard of the new restaurant on the moon?
No. What's it like?
Well, I haven't been there yet, but I hear the food is out of this world, but there's like no atmosphere.
So I got one that's kind of a variation. Why is a space rock tastier than an Earth rock?
Why?
A space rock is a little meteor.
I love that one.
You can make this stop just by asking questions. We're happy to get interrupted.
Let's see. Did we get it?
You got another one?
Yeah, let's see. Another one of my favorites is somewhat sad. What is a dinosaur's least favorite reindeer?
I don't know what.
Comet.
Okay, so Photon walks into a hotel. He's signing in the logbook when the bellhop comes by and says, "Sir, may I take your bags?" And the Photon says, "Oh no, I'm traveling light." So big thank you to the person in comments who threw the OG joke in there. What do you call in a vest? You know this one, Mary?
Sorry?
What do you call an alligator in a vest?
Ooh, no.
An investigator.
That's
If you know more bad jokes, we love them. Send them along in the chat. We were happy to see those pop up. But we have more acts coming up, so I want to take a moment to introduce a poet from San Francisco. This is Tongo Eisen-Martin, and he's going to give us some poetry.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Hopefully safe and well. First, I must apologize to the souls of the house because I'm wearing the cheekbones of the mask only. Pill bottle, my name is yours, name tagged on the side of a factory of wrists. I mean teeth of the mask now. Back of the head of the mask now. A new phase of anti-anthropomorphism fending for real faces, stuck with one of those cultures that believes I chose this family. I'm not creative, just the silliest of the revolutionaries. My blood drying on my only jacket, the police state psychic middlemen evangelizing for the creation of an unmasses, an unmedgar. Blood of a lamb less racialized or awesome prison sentence, good God. Elder abuse hired for the low dog-eat genius while a right angle is made between a point on a Louisiana plantation and a 5-year-old's rubber ball 3 feet high and falling like a deportee plane to complete my interpretation of garden variety genocide. I'm small talk about loving your enemies a little more realistically, about paper tigers and also gold. I need my left hand back. Broke my neck on a piano key, found paradise in a fist fight. Maybe I should check into the Cuba line. Watching the universe's last metronome, some call Black Jacobins, just wait. These religions will start resigning in a decade or two, some colorfully, some transactionally in a cotton gothic society, class betrayal gone glasses. I mean, ironically, my window started fogging over too, as I was trying to figure out which Haiti would get me through the winter, which poem houses souls, which socialist breakthroughs like taking 10 steps back and finally stillness and stillness among families. A John Brown biography would take a bow. I'd be up next to introduce Prosser the monk. I mean, I remember childhood. Remember the word childhood being a beginning. Scribbling on an amazing grace, I rented this body from some circumference of slavery. Remember being kicked out the Midwest. Strange fruit theater, lithium and circuses, like-minded stomachs, the ruling class blessing their blank checks with levy foam, with opioid tea. Sentient dollar bills yelling to each other, pocket to pocket. Cello stands in the precinct for accompanying counter-revolutionaries. My mother raised me with a simple pain. A poet loses his mind, like the room has weather, or first girlfriend gravity. The difference between me and you is that the madness wants me forever, a pair of apartments defining both my family and political composure. Books behind my back, bail money paved into the streets, playing euphoria cliche. Bracing for the medicine's recoil. Sharing a dirty deli sandwich with my friends, Black Jacobin's underground topography of grandmother's hand, psychology of the mask now. Teeth of the mask again. Apparently too much of San Francisco was not there in the first place. This dream requires more condemned Africans, or put another way, state violence rises down. Or still life is just getting warmed up. Or army life is looking for a new church and ignored all other suggestions. Or folktale writers have not made up their minds as to who is going to be their friends. This is the worst downtown yet. And I've borrowed a cigarette everywhere. I've taken many a walk to the back of a bus that led on out the back of a storyteller's prison sentence, then on out the back of slave scars, but this is my comeback phase. I left my watch on the public bathroom sink and took the toilet with me. Threw it at the first bus I saw, eating single mothers half alive. It flew through the bus line numbered and on out the front of the White House. Hopefully you find comfort downtown, but if not, we brought you enough cigarette filters to make a decent winter coat. A special species of handshake lets all know who's king and what's the lifespan of uniform cloth. This coffin needs to quit acting like those are birds singing. Rusty nails have no wings, have no voice other than that of a white world dying. Their book pages in the gas pump, catchy, isn't it? The way 3 nooses is the rule, or the way potato sack masks go so well with radio codes, or the way condemned Africans fought their way back to the ocean only to find waves made of 1920s burnt up piano parts, European backdoor deals, and red flowers for widows who spent all day in the sun mumbling in San Francisco. Red flowers, but what's the color of a doctor visit? There are book titles in the streets. Book titles like Hero, You Make a Better Zero, or Hey Fur Coat Lady, the President is Dead, or Pay Me Back in Children. Or they hung up their bodies in their own museums, and other book titles pulled from a drum solo. Run Here, Hero, Lie at the Hiding Place. All the bullets in 10 precincts know where to go. There's no heaven nor any other good idea in the sky. Politics means that people did it and people do it. Understand that when in San Francisco and other places that was never really there. I bet this ocean thinks it's an ocean, but it's not. It's just 6th and Mission Street. All know who's king. King of thin things, like America, I'm proud to deserve to die. I'm going to eat my dinner extra slow tonight in this police state candy dispenser you all call the neighborhood. No set of manners goes unpunished. Never mind a murderer's insomnia or the tea kettle preparing everyone for police sirens. Capitalists eat until the world is blurry to them. These streets are made of saliva. Some people made of saliva too. They usually have on uniforms. While a crazy man spins round and round trying to make a record out of this mass production jungle, maybe I'll join him. Count cash and cry. These streets are made of saliva, and white sheets are worn by a building in which kids are supposed to learn how to read well. White sheets on the highway too. Another mirror needs their head on a pike. One down is just one down. If you tell all this to the masses, your teacher will pipeline you. They told me I was jewelry. They told me this is jungle. Well, maybe not jungle, more like 50 machine guns planted in the ground. It's raining faces again in California. What does this say about heaven? What does this say about the people you killed? Waiting lines got so exhausted, a million minds dropped all these faces at once. If the fascists can read the lips of a giant talking in his sleep, we might as well make our demands in prison letters. Today was born the most important trigger finger in the world. Today I begun counting down the pages between now and a pile of books by a tunnel. Chicago is going to walk out of Chicago one day. Babies will drag street signs like old toys. Today, the most important letter left prison. Babies will laugh at flags like faces that have disappeared. Maybe I'll join them, but for now, these streets are made of saliva, and we raise half-full glasses to the basements that meant nothing. And the working poor who live there, we get shot. We get white sheets on California, where the kitchen table likes to talk as much as the walls, and romance on the porch consists of hard resigning. I mean, this picture, characters talk spit and know that they hard to kill. The kitchen table knows this. The porch is almost convinced that one down is just one down. This town is coming to town. A circus watching itself, half distracted, half suicidal, thrilled children dressed as cops, thrilled children preaching and policing and intaking and hiring and snatching your money. This town's coming to town with tough trademarks to follow. Today I watch capitalism walk on water and people play dead so that they could be part of a miracle. I talk facing away from the dead. They replace me with the change in my pocket, a penny that's yet to be invented. They say you have to know how to cut a throat on the way to cutting a throat. After sleeping on a mattress made from 2 garbage bags of clothes, I became content with the small gestures of plantation fires. Playing with couch ashes, I realized how weird the universe was. It exists in so many places, so many random things. It interrupts me while I'm trying to dream, like your clay correspondence, Lord. To be transparent, I have 20 books next to a bullet, like an old man giving advice at the beginning of a revolution. I've really done it, Lord. Explored the mumbles of my mind, explored what's naturally there, and I found no brainwashing. I found Africa, Lord. I have a future. It takes place in the diasporic South. I have morning possessions, modern militancy. I mean, windows to the South. I'll walk on a missile for food. I guess you will not want flowers for a few years, Lord. Will I be tied face to face with the country I murder merge with us, Lord? Our old metal versus a new metal, our old metal versus a pool of meandering imperialist faces, a multiculturalism of sorts. And they replace me with a comedian's chest cavity instead of a chest cavity held tight. It takes a violent middleman for me to talk to myself. Stories that travel through other people's stories, a song about a song, a hemisphere about a hemisphere, stories that travel through a conquered poet. My mother remembers Africa, Lord. She killed on behalf of you, Lord. I wore a machete all winter and no one asked me what it meant. I read 1,000 books in front of the world. You know, what I do is fight poems and sleep through decadent San Francisco prayer circles and watch people play for post-working class associative surfaces or recreations of a governor's desk. I mean, ruling class art of utility playing find the sociopathic bureaucrat. A day some white people scare even easier. TV in a basket next to a ceramic baby, wearing ceramic armor, musket progeny, fantasizing through the art of the poor, their trendy latches locked before God. Black art hunted down like a dog and hand over my friends, Lord. Lord, I think I'm going to die in the war. Unelected white people in my small house, like a blues song of no spiritual effect, or dollhouse H-bomb, a pony show near dead bodies, apartheid weddings that go right, apartheid white people who give birth to mathematicians, the spiritual continuity of barracks and police stations, a chemical interpretation of a Sunday trip to church, church smells in their pockets, a river mistaken for a talking river, no autobiography outside of small personal victories of violence and drug use. I mean, made in the image of God's trinkets, what white abolitionists confided in their children about, chemical assurances that they will switch from black artists to white artists, black guy to white guy, black worker to white worker. I think about you cautiously, Lord. In the same way I think about my childhood. Foxhole Friday nights, most of life is mute. A comedian points out a planter's field to a priest. King Sugar Cane, King Cotton King Revolutionary, the Bottless Central, containing all modes of shallow introduction, introducing an unlisted planter class speaking about fevers and balance sheets and reassuring the masses that we can figure out our fathers later. A priest took my mother lightly, Lord. Stood in front of parishioners re-raveling fantasies about black art. Priest reading confidently before I broke him and broke his parallel. After the day I've never been a poet before. A little brother watches his big brother's friends. They leave rifles on shelter walls. They agree with me and call it literature. It's a simple matter, this revolution thing. To really lie to no one. To keep nothing godlike. To write a poem for God. Thank you all.
I think I speak for a lot of people in the comments. That was beautiful. That was intense. And I am in awe of to keep that flow going. Wow. Okay.
Really great.
So tough act to follow, but let's see what we can do. We had some folks looking for some space stuff, and we got a couple cool questions.
Yeah, you wanted to do the neutron star one, right?
Yeah. So
Sean asked, where is the closest neutron star?
So that is a great question, Sean. We see neutron stars are the leftovers of another star that has lived and died and puffed off the outer parts of itself out into the universe. That neutron star is the result of a stellar death. So we're kind of glad we don't see any like next door, because if a star went off nearby, it wouldn't be great for us. But I can say, based on some quick Googling and internet research, the closest one we think we found is a star that's between 250 and 1,000 light years away in the direction of Ursa Minor. Now, if anyone has better information than that, I would love to hear them. But you might wonder, okay, between 250 and 1,000, that's pretty bad, low certainty. What's going on? Turns out a lot of numbers in astronomy are about that level of certainty. We know it's farther than this, but probably not as far as that. But with an object like a neutron star, there's a little bit of variation in how bright they can be, and we use brightness to determine distance. So we're a little limited in our exact ability to place something at a distance like that. So looks like some people are volunteering some awesome space jokes too. I got to add those to my collection. What is coming up next?
Up next, we have a salsa lesson from Ryan and Sydney from Ruedo con Ritmo, which I'm excited about. I told my sisters about this, and they're like, ooh, we're going to try it home. So. Okay, so push your significant other into or out of the room you're in, clear yourself some space, and put on your dancing shoes. I think we are ready to go.
everybody. My name is Sydney.
Hey, I'm Ryan. We have a dance company in San Francisco called Red on Ritmo. We do Cuban salsa, and we'd like to show you guys a few steps in the next 10 minutes. You ready?
I'm ready.
All
You guys
right.
ready? You don't need much space. We're here from our living room. Just clear a little bit of space for yourselves. So I'm going to be demonstrating the followers part, and Ryan is going to be demonstrating the leaders part.
All right, so the first thing we're just going to have you guys do is a little clapping. We're going to clap in rhythm. We're going to start with 8 claps. Ready? Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 claps. That was great. So now we're going to take out the 4th one and the 8th one. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. All right. So that rhythm right there, that's exactly what you're always going to use with your feet. So that's the rhythm we use in our feet. We're just going to turn our backs to you for just a second so you can follow along. So I'm doing the leaders part. Even if you don't have a partner, you can dance along at home. I'm going to do the leaders part. I'm going to start with the left.
Why don't you demonstrate and I'll explain what you're doing. Does that sound good? So Ryan's going to step forward on his left foot forward on the left in place. And he's going to come back to a sitting position and pause. And he's going to step back on his right in place, come back to a central position and pause. So that's the 1, 2, 3, pause, 5, 6, 7, pause rhythm. So let's check it out. Here's for the leaders and left, left, pause, right, left. One more time. And left, and right, left. Cool. All right, I'm going to demonstrate the followers part. So I'm going to step back on my right and forward on my left. Okay. And right, left, right, pause, left. Okay.
All right, let's all try it together. Let's try one more time. Ready? Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, pause. 1, 2, 3. One more time. And 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, stop. All right.
We're gonna try with some music.
Basic step. Here's the beat. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Let's dance without hands. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Forward, right, forward, left, right, left. Leaders, left, right, right.
All right, that was fun. So that's our basic step. Now, if you have a partner at home, you're gonna do exactly that, but facing your partner. So leaders, left foot follows right. We do 1, 2, 3. Let's try it again. Always alternating your feet. We do 1, 2, 3. Left forward, right back. 1, 2, 3. We do a little pause. Now with the other foot, leaders right back follows left forward. 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, let's try that again. 5 in place, 6 and 7. Always alternating your feet. So we do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Let's try with the music.
5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. All of us step back on the right, forward left. Remember to pause. Enjoy the music. The most important thing, have a good time. You don't want to do the steps? Dance around your living room. Do whatever you want. You're home.
With the hand, keep your feet going. Working like connected. The other hand, leader, arm comes under. All those hands over.
And 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7. Next.
All right, cool. So that's our basic step. We'd like to show you guys a couple other steps. Next step we call abajo. Give up abajo. So with this step, followers, you're going to begin with your right.
I'm going to cross behind on my right. I'm going to face my partner or my imaginary partner. I'm going to cross behind on my left. So the rhythmic pattern is the same. It's still 1, 2, 3. Pause 4, 5, 6, 7. Pause 8. Right, left, pause, left, right, left.
All right. So that's the follows part. Leaders, what you're going to do, you're going to step forward where the follows foot was. So it's kind of like the beginning. 1, 2, 3. You step forward the left, but then on the other foot, you also step forward 5, 6, 7. Yeah? So what happens when you have a partner, we step forward one side and then forward with the other side. So I go left and right and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Let's try it with the music. 5, 6, 7.
And 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Followers cross right, cross left. Leaders step forward and left, forward and right. It's called lleva para abajo.
We'll go back to the basics. Straight, forward, and back.
So we'll call this the basic salsa step. This is our first step. Each phrase of 8 we complete, and we'll move forward to the next, the second step. I'll call it out. Llévala para abajo, cross behind, followers, leaders, cross in front. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Let's go back to the basic. Straight back, straight forward. Straight forward, straight back. We're gonna stop.
Hey. All right, cool. So I think we have time to do just one other thing. We're going to do an exhibe turn. This is going to be a turn for the follows, but maybe we all learn it. We'll break it down.
Sure. So this turn is called exhibela. I'm going to turn my back to you again so you can see what I'm doing and you can do the same thing as us. Ryan and I will both demonstrate the followers part for the exhibe turn. So just like the basic, we step back, right, left, right. We take one more step forward on the left. We step forward. Now we pivot, both feet in place, and then come back to where we began. So the whole thing looks like this. Right, left, right. Pause, left, pivot, left. Again, right, left, right, and left. One more time. Exhibela. 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7. That one's a little bit tricky.
All right, so basically what leaders are going to do, you're going to take your hand and make room for the follow to turn. So we're going to basically flip the turn around. So it's going to be towards you rather than away from you. But the idea is I'm going to bring my hand down and then here and then lift, push a little bit on the shoulder and come back. While that happens, I'm going to do exactly the same thing with my step as we did for the lleva para abajo. I'm going to step forward and forward as we come on. All right, so we have time for just one more little section of music. So we'd like to do 2 of each step. So we're going to do 2 basic steps, 2 times abajo, and 2 turns. Let's try it once, just the steps. So we're going to do 1 basic.
One more basic.
And again, 2. Then we switch to the second step, abajo. We're going to do 2 of those as well. And leaders keep going, follows. We're going to do the turn, exhibe. And again. Then we go back to the beginning.
To the basic step.
Exactly. All right. So 2 of each thing, 1 more little section of music, and that will be all the time we have for today. If you'd like to learn more, we have classes a few times a week on our Facebook page. Friday night and Sunday night. Rueda con Ritmo is the name of our company and our Facebook page.
There's also a salsa workout on Sunday afternoon, which you guys might enjoy to sweat, move around. It's fun. All right, 2 of everything. Here we go. Here's the beat. 5, 6, 7, and basic. 1 more basic. Okay, second step. Follow the cross behind. Give us a long. 1 more. 2 turn. Let's go. Follow turn towards our right. 1 more turn. Let's go back to the beginning. Then we have a partner. You can come into what we call closed position. Second step. We have a follow cross behind. 1 more time. 2 turns. Exhibe. 1 more turn. Go back to the beginning. Let's dance separately again. If you want, you can just repeat the basic steps. Or you can continue the crossing behind step. Or you can do it all. Let's turn. Or if you want to, turn it. Shoot it. 1 more time. Let's turn. Back to the beginning. Close position. 1 more basic. Cross behind. Give a follow. Let's separate. Hey. One more basic. Here, vamos. Cross behind. Two-turn. Activate. One more. Back to the beginning. Here's what it looks like for two partners. I feel better already. I think I feel good. Let's cross behind. Two-turn. Activate. Again. Basic. We're gonna pause. That's it. Give yourselves a hand. Hope you enjoyed the dancing. If you'd like to join us again, Facebook page is Rueda con Ritmo, RUEDACONRITMO. You can also go to our website of the same name, ruedaconritmo.com. Thanks for joining us, you guys. That was super fun. We can keep going. I'm happy to keep going. What do you guys think?
Oh man, that was awesome. Okay, while we were watching, some of you came up with some really cool astro questions instead of dancing. I gotta say, it's a decision. Maybe not the one I would make. But Mary, we had a great one for you. What from AB? Any updates on the dimming of Betelgeuse?
Yeah, so we were just chatting about this behind the scenes, and I didn't have the latest information. I just got it, looked it up real quick, and I'm super excited that Betelgeuse, which I always refer to as the armpit of Orion, is how you can look for it, has been noticeably dimming over the last few months. Starting in about October, it's just not as bright. We're used to it being extremely bright. You can even tell that it's kind of red because it's so big and bright in the sky. And lately it's just lost its luster a little bit, but it seems to be turning at a turning point, and it's starting to get brighter again. And we're not entirely sure why it's doing this. There may have been some dust that went in front of it. There could be some cooler gas from inside the star that's been churning up and was unusually cool for some reason. But maybe it's going to blow up tomorrow. We're not really sure.
Coming back, someone else was commenting about why are astronomers so uncertain about these things. There's a lot of math with a lot of assumed variables, and most importantly, a lot of not fantastic experimental data. And we only get to watch. We don't get to go out and take the temperature of the star. So we're a bit limited in some aspects of the science. But if you folks are astronomy fans, and it really sounds like a whole bunch of you are, we are actually coming up on the International Dark Sky Week next week. And we all have lots of free time, right? So if you want to go check out your night sky from your backyard, this is a great chance to do it. The Morrison Planetarium at the California Academy of Sciences Facebook page is going to be showing off a bunch of really cool content for that week. And you can check out amazing partners like the Astronomical Society of the Pacific and the Dark Sky Network. So if you're an Astro fan, this is a really exciting week coming up.
Mm-hmm. All right, who do we have next? We have one more performance.
Sounds like an A1 performance.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Are we good? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna assume that means we're good because I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Shout out 2020. This has been an incredibly interesting year. In honor of 415 Day yesterday, you might want to adjust your volume right now because I'm gonna be spitting on this mic and it's loud. In honor of 415 Day yesterday, you know what I mean? I'm representing my city of San Francisco. Hello, everybody out there. My name is A1. I'm an MC from this very city that I'm standing in right now called, you guessed it, San Francisco. And I've been asked by Cal Academy to do a couple songs for you guys. So I'm going to do that. But before we get started, I have a request from everybody. It's a simple request, but basically, can anybody with bad vibe please evacuate the premises. When I write the words back to make the sentences, it still makes me happy, like back when I was little, having sleepovers at Maddie's because he had the Sega Genesis. But even Super Nintendo wasn't greater than the feeling of using my pencil. So now when I see negativity, it's like the heads of all my enemies, and writing this would help me to decapitate my nemesis. My daddy said I'm made from the same remnants of souls of the griots who can't relay the messages, but ever since they body decomposed in the ethos, they ghosts use my flesh as a place to make a residence. Way before gentrifiers made the blemishes on all the city views and set fire to the tenements to get insurance dues and required all the residents, elders, youth, and anyone who set the precedence of inner city roots to go retire to an exodus. We already had acquired all the benefits of living in a zoo full of bikers and pedestrians, freedom fighters, graph writers, gay guys and lesbians, trans people, people from Shanghai to Mexicans to working class people for black rights and feminists. Down presser trying to blind us with prejudice, but all of us combines what defines us as excellence. But they still undermine our intelligence. Go on Channel 5, call us liars and degenerates, but we take it in stride with pride and with elegance, knowing we gonna rise to the precipice. Yeah. And when that day come, cause you know that that day is gonna come. But when that day come, you can bet that A1 is gonna write the New Testament's word. I love you guys. Thank you so much for rocking with me right now. My name is A1. And now that we've gotten that out the way, it's time to party. Would you agree? I mean, we're all in our houses. We're all stuck. We're all wondering what the hell is going to happen tomorrow. So I figure, since we just had this little salsa class, you guys should practice. So kick off your shoes, put on your dancing feet, you know what I mean? And let's play an old favorite. This is for anybody that grew up in the 1990s and had cable and had a channel called Nickelodeon. If you did, you might recognize this. It goes like this. Now, if you don't know this song, that's okay. But if you do know this song, do me a favor. Can everybody sing? We sing. We sing. Can everybody just put your hands from side to side like this one time here? This is. This is. Check it, check it, check it. And this is just an intro. Nothing before we go your mind. We step up in your function and put it over time. I'm not a workaholic, but I'm always on my grind every day. Cause that's the only way I'm gonna shine anyway. I had to put this beat over this rhyme just to remind my people of a much simpler time when we played video games and ball sports with overall short fades on ball courts. For me, it was the 90s. For you, it may be different in your mind frame. The time frame is specific. We was just kidding back when we was just kids. We never had to question our lives. We just lived just cuz. Why were we happy? We just was. Maybe the reason is cause all we needed was just love. And some of us got that. What do you call that? Well, back then we would call it all that. Everybody put our hands up like this one time here. This is. This is. Yeah, everybody sing. Everybody put your hands up like this one time here. This is. This is. Now as a kid, grown-ups told me don't hurry through your years. Cause when you're grown, you got insecurities and fears. When you're grown, you got all the worries and the cares in the world seems dirty and unfair. I was unprepared. It's really kind of funny. I thought I would be rich by the time I was 20. Now I'm trying to find a meal to put inside of my tummy. My childhood's the only thing they can never take from me. Drawing cartoons, superheroes with pencils. Watching all the dope Nickelodeon kids shows. Legends of the Hidden Tempo was a jam. I like Doug, but damn, Keenan and Kel was a man. Now I know why they told me what they told me way back when we was kids. We won't ever be innocent again. But now I'm a man, though I still can recall back. I'm missing the days when it was fat and it was all that. Everybody put them hands up high, yeah. This is. This is. One more time, hey. Everybody put them hands up like this one time, yeah. This is. This is. Oh, boy. How we feeling out there? Everybody doing good? you, A1. You're the best rapper of all time. I can't believe it. I know. Thank you guys. Wow, you're too kind. You're too kind. Much appreciated. Now, I don't have a lot of time on this microphone. Oh, before I forget, if you guys want to follow up with me after this, my Instagram, can you read that? My Instagram and Twitter is Adam Raps, at Adam Raps, ADAMRAPS. My fingers are covering it. If you want to tip me, my Venmo is at Adam Traore, PayPal, AdamSchwadam87@gmail.com, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Shoot, I'll probably do like one more song. This song is for all the nurses out there, all the relief workers out there, all the volunteers, and all the people just staying and sitting at home and doing what they're supposed to do for the health of everybody. Because why? Because you're a good person. This song is called Good People. And it's dedicated to all you good folks out there. Now, this is for you, and you, and you, and this is for you, and this for my people smoking in the car. That shit you knew was potent when you opened up the jar. That shit you got from Oakland, cause Oakland's not that far. And your cousin's out there rolling purple roses in his yard. And he gives you them for low, cause he likes to share his smoke. And he cares about his folk, like he's stroking the guitar. And you know if not for him, you would be at a loss. So you keep him in your thoughts as you roll up your cigar, singing you and me. We relate. I see you. Because we appreciate good people. You've been stuck in limbo, not making enough to be comfortable. Been paying these dues, maybe someday soon they'll be unrefundable. Yeah, with a little bit of interest. Yeah, little something you can invest. Since yesterday, you was a child, now every your childhood friends got infants. See, at least it ain't you. See, face her navy blue when the girl from the other side call you up and say, pregnant with your baby, boo. Oh, no, man, this can't be true. No, man, this can't be true. I got too much life to live, I got people to see, I got things to do. This gonna be a big change for you. Life is gonna have to change a few. Let's work at a 9-to-5 job for a couple of years and been on ways to do things. Time machine, you really need it badly. Everybody needs you to feed the daddy. Everybody needs you to feed the family. So love, you can be 80 or 2 years. All the time for the work is race, it takes, and it makes the person sad. You really wanna run away from it, but you don't wanna be another deadbeat dad. And it's so overwhelming, because it got you by surprise. But when that baby come out and you look into his eyes, you gon' say, I'ma look over you. I'm gonna look over you. I'ma look over you. I'm gonna look over you. I'ma look over you. I'm gonna look over you. I'ma look over you. You know why? Because you and me, we relate. I see you. Because we appreciate good people. Shit. This for my people juggling them bills and fighting off depression, but still counting up their blessings, cause they know it's folks that's out there that been struggling for bills. And parents who got children that's suffering from illness, and they still is cause they can't afford the supplements and pills. The kids that's going hungry, immigrants from other countries with no money, that got talent and got hustle and got skills, but end up laboring for next to nothing in them fields. So whether you're labeled hopeless or homeless or illegal, I put these bars on top of each other to show we're equal, because we appreciate all good people. And San Francisco, California got some good people. You feel me? All right. Sorry. Okay, everybody doing good? I don't know really how much time I have left. So let me see. So I'm just gonna do one more song, and better to ask forgiveness than permission, right? Oh, we love you too. Thanks, guys. Okay, this song is called. This one I'm gonna end it with. This one's called Thoroughly, and I love you all. Once again, Adam Raps, ADAMRAPS. If you want my Venmo, is at Adam-Traore, TRAORE. PayPal, AdamSchwadam87@gmail. And yeah, this is for you guys. Love you guys. As you can see, I'm used to performing in front of crowds, but this will do. Anyway, I was watching the news the other day. You know what they said on the news? They said that the police got no love for the civilian. Israel got no love for Palestinian. In Italy, the north side beef with the south side, and both sides ain't really got no love for Sicilians. Kids go to jail for a dime bag of dope. Pharmaceutical companies sell drugs by the billions. Countries launch missiles on each other over money, claiming victory. But nobody ever really wins. I see the picture in the way that it oppresses me. But in my life, the only thing that ever protected me is the ability to mix love with humility. I dreamt I ran for president. The people elected me, and 2 days later, I was assassinated. And the people got mad, and they marched to the monument, and they fought with police. But the people were dominant, so cops got scared. People got confidence, so the cops switched sides. Teamed up with the people, teamed up with the scientists. And that's when everyone in politics from every single continent had to finally acknowledge that a change took place. Money no longer mattered, and gender no longer mattered, and neither did race. And that's when we became thoroughly, and when people came together for the better of the world we in. We can watch ourselves, we don't need the popo. And everyone decided we don't want to be divided no more. And that's when we became thoroughly in. Yeah. And that's when we became, actually, that's when I woke up from my dream world and realized that last week I broke up with my dream girl, got a missed call from ill quotes. I returned the call fast to find my homie Ryan wound up dying in a car crash. No one got no answers. I don't know if he's a victim. I don't know these things, but I know he had wings and something clipped him. We shared a lot of memories. He had a lot of wisdom, so it wouldn't be so bad, except I really freaking miss him, and I see the system in the way that it impresses me. I take Molly because the ecstasy suppresses the emotions. I'm happier for the moment, but depletes my serotonin, which eventually depresses me more. That's why I write this all down, fam. I use words to express myself mentally. Use meditation as my way of staying grounded, and I use my naked body to express myself sexually, especially when I had a queen and she undressed for me. I connected with her so much, sometimes it would mess with me. One night I said I needed space. She wasn't upset with me, because me doing what's best for me is all that she expects from me. She thorough. We talked about ruling the world and what would our new amendments be. I don't know, maybe healthcare, free energy, and food on people's shelves. We didn't change the world that night, but we had changed ourselves, and that's when we became thoroughly in, when people came together for the better of the world we in. We can watch ourselves, we don't need the po-po, and everyone decided we don't want to be divided no more. And that's when we became thoroughly in. Yeah. That's when we became thoroughly in. Look. I wouldn't mind starting a revolution, but revolution starts in our minds. What we really need is evolution, evolution of a humankind. I said I wouldn't mind starting a revolution, but revolution starts in our minds. What we really need is evolution, evolution of the humankind, and that's how we became thoroughly. Thank you guys so much. I know you don't know what thoroughly means, but follow up with me, shoot me a DM, and I'll explain it to you. You know what I mean? So much love from San Francisco. I love you all. My name is Adam, aka A1, aka the best rapper ever of all time. And that's my time. Thank you guys. Peace.
Wow. More amazing art coming out.
I was definitely dancing in my chair when all that came on.
Oh man, from nostalgia to powerful messages, A1, that was amazing. Okay, so we don't have much time left, and we really wanted to leave you folks with a thank you from the bottom of our hearts to yours. This was awesome. It's so fun to get to perform and kind of engage with an audience again. So before we take off, let's give a round of applause for our artists. They did an amazing job, and we learned a ton. Thank you to my co-host, Mary.
Thank you, Josh.
and to our NightLife team for putting this all together. And we wanted to say goodbye to you, but we also know you folks probably want to say goodbye to the animals. So I think we are going to sign off with one of our iconic exhibits at the Academy. Say hello to the Philippines coral reef.
Yay.
Thanks again.